I set the unofficial Guinness World Record as a joke, buying silver at the highest price in human history with leveraged money call options, and I lost $1.2 million in about a week and a half on my 21st birthday.
Jeremy Newsome, at age 7, he sold blackberries door to door, saved $1,300, convinced his dad to match it, and bought Apple stock. That investment would be worth $14 million today.
I learned that one of the reasons I didn't take $500,000 loss, right? I held the entire thing is because I didn't want to lose my dad's approval. For the first time in my life, dude, my dad was telling me that he was proud of me. He never said verbally that he loved me. Financial freedom is second grade math repeated consistently. 300 people paying $167 a month, $50,000 a month. Can I find 300 people in this world? And the answer was always yes. Math never lies. The brokenness of any country is in direct proportion to the brokenness of its men. And most men are broken. Most men's souls are really, really in pain. They are settling. They're not living into their fullest purpose. When I go to money shows or investing conferences, there's no one else doing what I'm doing. They're making money for them. Ain't no one saving kids with their trading profits. And that's why I'm like, I'm playing a different game than everyone else. I want you all.
Welcome to the fifth quarter. Most people watched Forrest Gump and saw a story. Jeremy Newsome watched it and saw a roadmap to financial freedom. At age 7, he sold blackberries door to door, saved $1,300, convinced his dad to match it, and bought Apple stock. That investment would be worth $14 million today. Jeremy is the founder and CEO of RealLife Trading, teaching hundreds of thousands to trade safely. He's completed 3 Ironmans, co-hosts the Broke to Awoke podcast, and has founded the RL Foundation, which has helped save over 2,500 children from human trafficking. But what makes Jeremy different is his belief. Master yourself before you master the markets, and use money as a force for good. Jeremy, welcome to the show.
Oh, dude, I'm so pumped about this. This is incredible.
We met for half an hour the day that we were leaving or the day before that we were leaving, and then we ended up being together for
a whole day, and then night, a little bit of night, and
just a touch of the night. And I had such an amazing time with you, and every few hours I just learned more and more, and you've fast become one of my favorite people. So I'm really grateful that you're here. Thank you for giving us the time, and I'm excited to unpack your brain, your story, all the lessons and the learnings, and hopefully people can pick up a couple of things that they can implement into their own life.
Yes, sir.
Most 7-year-olds watch Forrest Gump for the jokes. You watched it and decided to become an investor. What did you see that the other kids and other people watching it didn't?
It was more of what I heard the very first time I watched the film. So Forrest Gump in the movie says, Lieutenant Dan invested into some kind of fruit company and said, we don't have to worry about money no more. I had never heard anyone say they don't have to worry about money. That was a paradigm shift. I didn't know that was possible. And so I just asked my dad, what is a fruit company? Like, what's he talking about? Like, they'd be so cool for us as a family to never worry about money. And then through some coaching with Les Brown, it got unpacked that really the big core event that happened right after that scene is what created everything for my life. Forrest built a church, a school, a hospital, and then retires Bubba's mom out of the kitchen. So I got to see not only that people could not worry about money, paradigm shift, but also that people could do incredible things with money and really give back and really be, as you said on the intro, a force for good, someone that can expand the heart and the soul of the lives of others and anyone that they come in contact with through the use of money. That's what I saw.
Amazing. And we'll get on to what that has built as a result. But I want to also just go back to your BlackBerry hustle. How does a 7-year-old make $1,300?
My sales pitch was pretty strong, to be fair. So here's the way it goes down. I am in Georgia with no shoes, no shirt. I'm wearing jean shorts. I hand pick blackberries and I put them in a Ziploc bag and I sell them for $1 a bag, which is like 75% cheaper than retail. And I go up to people and I say, listen, I just hand picked these blackberries for you. How many would you like to buy? That was the opening. So if you see a shirtless 7-year-old selling blackberries for 75% cheaper, I mean, like, you gotta buy something. And what happened is a lot of grandmas would give me 5 and 10 and 20, and they're like, "Oh, honey, you can keep the berries," right? People just gave me money because I was a cute kid. But the other thing too, man, it was the summer of 1995, and I mean, what do you have as a 7-year-old? Time. That's all you have. So I was outside every single day, walking door to door, picking blackberries and selling them to everybody. And if I talked to you, you gave me some money. So it was really like there were days I would do 70, 80, $90 days, and it was incredible.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. Um, and then you took that 1,300 and you managed to convince your father to match the money that you had to invest in Apple stock.
Yeah. Well, that was actually his idea. So because I was begging him, man, for months. Like, we need to do what Forrest Gump did. Because he told me how the stock market worked, right? When I asked him, like, what is a fruit company? He told me about Apple computers. And he gave me, still to this day, one of the biggest gifts and lessons that I teach people all the time about investing is he said, if a company's revenue, like if the company's making more money because people are buying their product and people love the product and they keep buying it and the company makes more money, the stock price will go higher over time. That's what he told me. And that just clicked, and it clicks to this day, right? If people are using, I mean, Facebook, Google, Netflix, Starbucks, it's better to be an owner than just a consumer. If revenue of a company is increasing over time, eventually the stock price will also increase. And so the beauty of all that is and was that I begged him and begged him and begged him, and he gave me the very, very similar, I'm sure, answers that most people have heard when they were a kid, or maybe they even heard now in their life as it relates to the stock market. Like, I don't have enough time, I'm not smart enough, we don't have enough money, we don't know enough, all these limiting beliefs. And I just begged him, and he eventually caved and said, "Listen, if you bring me some money, I'll match it. I'll match it dollar for dollar, and then we'll buy the stock." And he just didn't know that I was an absolute sales machine. And he ended up borrowing money from my uncle Billy, and that was the money that we used to buy Apple with. So it was really cool.
Yeah, and then you sold that. Just talk me through what you sold it for as a profit and what it was going to be worth today.
Yeah, man. So Apple today is actually at an all-time high. So I track it every day because it's just a funny thing to know. But we took, 2,600, 3,000 ish dollars in 1995, and that investment turned into $12,000 in 2000. We moved from Georgia to Florida. And when we moved, the conversation came up about how Apple was doing, and we sold it. Now, granted, we also sold it at the very top of the tech bubble. So in 2000, obviously, neither one of us knew what was going on, but we did time it really well. We just didn't reinvest.
Mhm.
And that is a $40 million mistake, Bilal. $40 million.
That's crazy.
Crazy, dude.
How does that make you feel?
Well, I got it back, through other means, and so it wasn't that exact investment,
Yeah.
but the good news is I feel amazing, man, because I do not have to worry about money ever again for the rest of my life, and I have figured out that financial formula. I got that down, which I'm very thankful for, and the realization is that $40 million mistake, I can now get to teach people how to let that not happen to them, and I can get to teach people exactly how I could have done it differently. So $3,000 turns into 12, right? You 4x your return. Sell half and then hold the rest forever, right? Because now if you make a if you double your money and sell half, the rest is house money, as they say. And you can leave it in there until kingdom come. And so for an investor or for someone who's looking at long-term wealth appreciation, what you have to realize, ladies and gentlemen, is that the long-term game is incredible and it does take time, but everything takes time. Everything takes time. So since everything takes time, let it take time. Leave it alone, let it grow. We all have access to the same resources. So how resourceful can we be? And the more resourceful we all are as entrepreneurs and business owners, the better our businesses and our lives and our money will do.
Absolutely. I remember when we were sitting together and you kind of talked me through the story and, past this point, now you started to become, now you started to have a name and a reputation for somebody who was a smart investor and somebody who could make money. You were able to make, 36% in 3 months, and then you moved into the leverage game
Hmm.
and lost a lot of it.
Hmm.
What did that experience teach you?
So to catch people up, in 2010, I started trading silver a lot. So now I'm 18 years old, sorry, 20, 19, 20 years old. And I'm working at a company called Nationwide Insurance, right? Fortune 100 company, great experience. And I'm trading stocks through my 401k. And I'm doing incredible. So I'm absolutely smashing it. Yeah, making 10, 15, 20% return a week, sometimes a month, sometimes. I convinced my dad to let me, take his money and trade his money, and I grow his money extremely quickly. And then he tells some of his buddies, and I start trading their capital. So at the age of 20, I start trading $400,000 of other people's money, and all I'm doing is buying and selling stock. That's it, and I'm buying cheap stock. I'm buying a lot of it, and I'm selling it higher. That's all I'm doing. And what ends up occurring, man, is I turned 400,000 to 1.2 million in about a year just buying, and the stock is still around, Bilal. In fact, if you want to buy some, you can. It's First Majestic Silver, ticker symbol AG. And right now, this exact moment, it's $11.13. But it moves very, very often. It really fluctuates a lot. And back in 2010, I was buying it around, $9 and selling it at 12 over and over and over and over and over. And that's like a 30% return. And I was just doing that with a lot of money. And if you make a 30% return often and it compounds, it doesn't take long to double, and then it doesn't take long to quadruple. So I did all that. And then, yes, like you mentioned, I played a leverage game that I did not understand. And I ended up buying something called call options. Up until this point, I was buying shares and I was selling call options and a covered call strategy. But I bought a call option. Those options ended up going to zero because I also at the time set the unofficial Guinness World Record as a joke, buying silver at the highest price in human history. I was the guy, dude. I was the dude. I bought silver at the highest price ever with leveraged money, which is again call options, and I lost $1.2 million in about a week and a half on my 21st birthday.
Insane.
Insane, dude.
And what did that experience teach you? Like, what was the learning moment for you there?
Man, I mean, it's one of my greatest gifts. For a very long time, that was the pain that fueled me. It was the failure. I had never really, really, really failed. I had kind of won a little bit in life, but I had never miserably failed. And what it eventually teaches me in my late 20s is that you want to fail as fast and as hard as you absolutely can. And I failed miserably. And I owned it. And I became a man of a deep, deep integrity because I called every single one of those investors. It was only four of them, my dad and three other people. And I said, "Hey, I'm going to pay you back with interest. And I'm sorry." And I didn't know what I was doing, and I got into the wrong game. So I had to put my big boy pants on, and I had to learn some lessons. And then I learned lessons about risk mitigation. And then I learned lessons about how to back test the markets. And then I learned lessons to understand when the markets are high and when they're low and what that looks like. And then I learned, man, I mean, just almost an uncountable amount of lessons because the failing of something financially is one of the greatest gifts you can have, and you want to do it as early as you possibly can. And the most expensive lesson is the one that you repeat. So the beautiful news is I haven't made that mistake again. I've made other mistakes, but I haven't made that one again.
Mhm.
And I really truly believe that if you can learn from the mistake and you can sit down, you can understand why and where and when and how and all that kind of fun stuff, and you can reinvigorate and then you can reinvent, you can become the most powerful force because our failures are our greatest teachers.
Would you say that the reason why you became so successful after that period of time and to date is to do with that moment there and what
Yep.
it taught you? Yeah.
And I also kind of started digging deeper in my late 20s because I was doing in 2017, I got rich again for the fourth time. I bought a bunch of Bitcoin and Ethereum in late 2015, early 2016, and all those, positioned like 50x'd. And I held the whole thing, and it was awesome. And I started doing deep inner spiritual work below. And I learned that one of the reasons I didn't take a $500,000 loss, right? I held the entire thing is because I didn't want to lose my dad's approval. For the first time in my life, dude, my dad was telling me that he was proud of me, right? He was sharing me with other people. He never said verbally that he loved me. And I learned that, and I learned that that did cause a little bit of trauma between myself and him. And since then, I have healed that energy. And what that healing has caused me to do is become a really, really great dad. So that's why I'm wearing my best dad ever shirt. Because, dude, I'm a top tier dad, and I'm really, really present with my kids, and I pour into them. But I'm also still in my purpose. They also see me travel. They also see me go places and really try, and they see me fail. My kids see me fail a lot, and they see me fail at businesses. My 15-year-old will see me fail in jujitsu when I get just absolutely smoked by someone much better than I am, which is pretty much everyone. And and he sees that, and I wanted to show him that because my dad and we did not have a really, really loving relationship, and I know that that was a reason. That was a big reason for my failure, and that was a big learning lesson as well. So to your point, man, it was one of the greatest teachers that I had.
From that, you went and built, one of the biggest trading communities, in the world. And when you build a global trading platform, you get punched along the way. And there are some extremely hard seasons that come as a result of building anything valuable and
Anything.
spectacular.
Yeah.
What was the hardest season for you building this platform, right? And were there times where you weren't sure that this would work?
It's a great question. I'm gonna start with the first one, the second question first. Was I ever no. I always knew it was gonna work. Because here's the truth, man. Financial freedom is second grade math repeated consistently. That's what financial freedom is. And when I say second grade math, for most of your listeners, business owners, entrepreneurs alike, I feel like $600,000 a year of income would be amazing, right? Would really just set most people free. And they would feel this level of excitement and love and prosperity and abundance. And that's $50,000 a month, right? And what I sat down and said numerous times in my life was, how do I make $50,000 a month of creating incredible, amazing value for the world? What does that actually look like? And if at $50,000, if you have 300 people, 300 below, that's it, 300 paying $167 a month, that's $30,000, $50,000 a month.
Mm.
300 people paying $167 a month. So I got to ask a very easy question, because when you ask extremely detailed, easy questions, what are you going to get? Extremely detailed, easy answers. And the question I started asking was, can I find 300 people in this world that find enough value to pay $167 a month? And the answer was always yes. Because I would ask, are there 300 people in this world? Sure are. Okay. Are there 300 people in this world that have $166? Sure are. Are there 300 people in this world that have $167 every single month that are willing to listen to me do something financial? And the answer was, of course, yes. I always knew it was going to work because that is math, and math never lies. Math is always accurate, and it's an incredible language of clarity and certainty. And that's what most people lack in life, is extreme clarity and massive certainty. And math will give you that. Now, what most people say is, if it's so easy, how come everyone doesn't do it? If making $50,000 a month, $600,000 a year is so easy, why doesn't everyone do it? And the answer below is because it's easier not to.
Mm.
Because to answer your first question, oh my gosh, dude. The hardest thing in business for me was relying on other people to help me. And I got absolutely royally screwed numerous times by business partners. And they were generally in the tech space. And they were the people that were my right hand, right? The tech specialist that could help me build my vision. I don't know if you know anything about human design, Bilal, but I'm a what's called a manifester. And so manifestors are relatively rare in the human design world. They represent about 8% of the population, and they are just purely visionaries. They are people that can see and call out into action things that do not exist, and they can create worlds and opportunities that have never existed before through thoughts and idea generation. Now, those people need amazing people like you who can actually build things or assemble people together to actually build things. And I had two very large business divorces, as you're very familiar with the term, and it hurt, man, because I built with a friend. I built with friends, and those friendships ended up getting destroyed, and the divorce took place, and it cost a lot of money, but more importantly, it ripped out a lot of my heart, and it caused me to guard myself and to do less business with less people because I just kept getting hurt. And that is something I learned in business: is if you're going to build something powerful, you need other people around you, and eventually relationships will crumble. Now, not all of them, but some of them will, and some of them will be tested. And you're married, and me and you both know that we've had relationship conversations with our wives where it's like, I am putting myself out there, and we're going to go back and forth until we get this resolved, because right now we're in a little bit of a rocky season. If it's days, if it's hours, if it's minutes, if it's weeks, if it's months, hopefully it's not months. But it will be months if you let it become months. So for me and my wife, we always have this. And last night was one of those awesome nights. We sat down, we went to the gym together, we went to a dinner and a movie, and we had date night, and we just opened the floodgates and was like, let's go. Let's talk about all the things that we haven't been able to talk about for the last, really 2 months because I've been traveling so much. And a lot of things were said, and a lot of tears were shed, and we moved past it, and we're all good on so many fronts because we had those conversations. So the relationship, man, relationship capital is probably the one thing to me that is the hardest about building something incredible and great and powerful.
And it's common in business to, there's very few successful entrepreneurs who you meet who haven't had people screw them over, or they've had fallings out with partners, or people haven't come through on the things that they said that they would do. So for people listening to this, what is something that you've noticed, or what is a pattern that you've noticed on the partnerships that didn't work out? And how can people be more, how can they learn from what you've gone through with your partners before they set up their partnerships?
Well, one of them is do not have don't have a triple partnership. Those do not work. I'm 99% certain of that. So, triple partner is 1, 2, 3. Someone owns, it doesn't even matter. 30%, 30%, 30%, 33, 33, 33, or one person owns 80%, the other people own 10 each. Triple partnerships with equities are not, they don't work. Get two,
Okay.
whittle it down to two. The second thing
What's
is,
the reason for that, you think?
you know, I think it's because the saying is there's too many cooks in the kitchen. When you have three people, you have the ability for two of them to gang up on one of the people, and that one person's going to feel left out eventually, or something's going to happen. I've just never seen a triple partnership work. Now, four is the different story, right? Because then you have two and two, and you can have, you guys can both come to a decision to not do something. But three, you can have two of them will gang up on the other person, or vice versa, and everything starts happening for that person. So I think that's probably one of the reasons. Equity, one of the a lesson I would love to give all of your listeners. I know you have tons and tons of really beaming, extremely excited entrepreneurs that want to go from 6 to 7 figures or 7 to 8 figures. Be very, very, very careful about giving equity away in your company. Right? Most people feel like, oh, I'll just give away 5% or 10% or 15%, and I'll bring you into the operating agreement, and now we're partners, and you own part of the company, and then you can help me build, or you can help me scale, or you can help me do this. Money is the easiest part of the formula. Most people feel that money is the hardest part of the formula. Like, oh, if I just had more money, I could build or scale or advertise or whatever. Money is the easiest part of the formula. That's why you should sit down with a money coach. You should sit down with a finance expert. You should sit down with me. I can help you find the money. The money is there. I promise the money is there. It's somewhere. It's in a bank account. It's in an SBA loan. It's somewhere out there. It's available. You do not have to give away equity. That generally will become a very, very expensive lesson. So don't just give away equity. And then last but not least, learn to have really, really, really powerful, deep, long conversations. Me and you spent literally 20 hours together. And in those 20 hours, we had some deep convos, dude, all the way from religion to politics to marriage. Like we were going down. And that's because in order to have a business relationship, which we don't have yet and we will at some point, when we do that, we now know how to have those big conversations ahead of time about equity, about money, about splitting things up, about writing things down, about contracts, about expectations, who's doing what. And also, you and I have the awareness of what we're also good at. And that's very important in business is to know what everyone's good at, to have proper expectations, to have proper communications, and to do it frequently. And the more you do that, the better you'll get.
Yeah, absolutely. You could have just gone down this path where you just make loads of money for yourself, right? You have this skill set, you have the knowledge. You can be this like lone wolf and just go make loads of money for you and your family, right? Why was it? What was the moment for you? What was the hinge that took you from being this solo trader to a global educator? And why do it? Because you could probably just make more money with the opportunity cost of spending time teaching others
Time.
and just
Yeah.
focusing on yourself, right? What was that? When did that switch come in? Why was it important to you?
Truth is, man, that switch has kind of always been there. It's always been there my whole life. And I think a lot of it maybe stemmed from Forrest Gump, right? Me seeing him not only influence so many people through his ping pong or through his running. Remember when he was running and everyone started following him, but also his give back. I've always been wired that way. So I'm an extrovert by nature. I get energy from being around people. And most specifically, I love teaching. I have the heart of a teacher. And man, I love people, dude. I, when I go get a haircut, I'm talking to my barber and I'm telling him to buy stocks. I'm telling him to do, invest into real estate. And I'm asking questions about his income and his debt. Like I do this with everyone. It's just who I am. I'm wired this way. But the beautiful part is I learned that. And I've learned that I can not only do that, but I can also be rewarded from it for my time and for my experience and for my knowledge. And so realistically for me, it is a gorgeous and phenomenal opportunity to pour into others because that's just I truly have always felt the more you give to others, the more you'll have. And I want a lot because I want to create a big impact. I want to leave an amazing legacy. I want this world to know that I existed and that I was here. And in order to do that, I need to help many, many, many people. And that's what I'm gonna keep doing.
And you went from, how do I make money to how do I create value at scale? How do I solve real problems? And I think that shift
Yep.
is rare. And you find, I think for me, the most beautiful entrepreneurs aren't the people that make like the most amount of money, but they're the ones who think that way and they do solve real problems and they are impact driven. And I think a testament to that is, when I look at what you're doing at the moment, you're expanding into Australia, you're expanding into the UK. I think you're expanding into India and Africa as well, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did. So I have since actually sold RealLife Trading not that long ago to the internal team, and so I'm no longer the CEO as of, I mean, recently,
Yeah.
but I'm the founder. But yeah, we were expanding, and because there are global markets, one of my beliefs, Bilal, is if you have access to the internet, you should have access to income. And I also believe that having access to opportunity and knowing how to interact with that opportunity is an incredible way to remove poverty. And if you remove poverty, you remove desperation. If you remove desperation, you remove a lot of the problems in this world. And so pouring into communities and countries and cities and certain, yeah, states in the United States, but also other countries that, might have a lot less fortune or might be a lot less fortunate than the United States. pouring into those communities and pouring into those people and teaching them how to access global markets because it's everywhere, man. It's a ginormous ocean of money, of wealth, of opportunity, and every single person, all of us can tap into it and can access it. And so, yes, expanding into India and Australia and the United Kingdom and Africa and Honduras and Mexico and Argentina, just going there and having chapters, right? Having people, having proteges that I've taught in the past and giving them the baton and saying, hey, I've taught you everything that I know. You go now teach it to other people and show everyone how we can all do this together, how we can grow, how we can expand, how we can be, how we can really provide and create. And I think that's just an amazing opportunity.
You know, you're a trader, you're a CEO, you're a podcaster, you're a 3 times Ironman, you're a husband, you're a dad, you're a friend. Um, what are the non-negotiables for you that haven't changed no matter how many hats you wear?
That's a good question. Wow. So, big non negotiable for me, very, very large, is I'm a master of time and punctuality. So, a non negotiable is I'm going to be there on time and I'm going to carve out that time. So, my yes is very, very, very meaningful. If I give someone a yes, fucking, it's a yes, dude. It's in. I'm there. It's happening. Right? I'm going to move mountains. That's been a very big non-negotiable for me because I feel like that's an integrity standpoint. So that's probably maybe again like a second non-negotiable for me is I'm a man of my word. I will do everything in my power, and if I can't figure it out, and if I can't do it personally or physically, I'm going to find a way, and I'm going to make sure that everyone knows what's going on and what's happening and how it's happening. So big non-negotiable for me is show up, be there, be a man of integrity, be a man of your word, be on time, and then from there, a lot of things are going to fall into place. Another non-negotiable for me is I have to protect my happiness because money can buy happiness if you know where to shop. Like don't let broke people tell you that money can't buy happiness. It can, but it's not going to buy prolonged happiness. And for me, once you start making over $600,000 a year, you can be happier, but you just have to start finding you have to start finding experiences. And so that's a non-negotiable for me is every month, every quarter, I am finding new experiences for me that make and bring me happiness, that bring me joy, that bring me fulfillment, that create communities, that create excitement, that create, uh, yeah, opportunities to really just be the fullest expression of me. Because I want more people to understand how meaningful that is. Right? It's not pursuing happiness; it's being happy, finding ways to be happy, finding the things that bring you joy. Like to me, man, if I can have a nice coffee with a friend and play chess for an hour and then do sauna and cold plunge and then go on a nice long run or a nice long hike, I'm happy, dude. And
Mm.
it doesn't matter where I am in the world, but I'm going to find ways to make me happy. And I'm going to do that often. And that's something that me and my wife were talking about last night. That's a very, very important thing to me because if I'm not happy as a dad and a husband, and to your point, I own numerous businesses and I'm always interacting with people. My job is to be happy. And so I'm going to find ways to put myself first, to fill up my cup first, to put myself at the very top of this food chain because most men put themselves at the bottom of the food chain after everyone else's needs are taken care of, including your mortgagee and your car note and all the bills. After everything is taken care of, then whatever's left you get for that, you get for you. And that's just not good enough for me. Right. I want this life is my life and I want to be happy. So I put myself very, very at the top.
I like that perspective, and it's not one that you hear like outwardly spoken often or as vocally as you've done it. You know, I think as men, you kind of feel like there's this need to take care of everyone else but
Hmm.
yourself. You know, not
Hmm.
but yourself, but instead of yourself, or you come last. So I'd be interested to know, obviously whether or not this is now become something you can do because you now experience the wealth that you do, or is this something that you were always conscious of from the beginning? Or doing from the beginning, even when perhaps you didn't have as much money?
Yeah, great question. I don't think it was actually a money thing that allowed it, but I did pay to learn it. So I was taught this by a gentleman named Andy Christensen, who I chat with weekly. He was my first business coach. And I didn't have a lot of money at the time when I hired him. Very first time I hired him was late 2014, early 2015, and I was broke. And his sales pitch to me at the time was, "What's an amount of money that will hurt if you pay me hourly? What is that amount of money?" And he said, "Tell me a number that's actually going to hurt, where when you show up, you really care and you pay attention." And I was like, "Oh man, dude, $1,000 is like insane for an hour." He was like, "You sure?" I was like, "Yeah, dude, I'm sure." She's like, "Okay, if that's the amount of money that hurts, that's what we're gonna do." And I paid that man $1,000 an hour, bro. And when we would have dinner, I was taking notes. I was writing feverishly, and that's one of the things that he taught me because he's been married to his amazing wife Nikki for, I don't know, 30 something, way too long, right? 3 decades, forever. Dude's been married forever, has a bunch of kids, incredible business owner, freaking good looking, jacked out of his mind, has a six pack, all natural. Dude's amazing. Love Andy. And these are some of the concepts he taught me and he told me, and I've learned from him, and I see how valuable and important it is because it is something I talk a lot about. Um, the brokenness of any country is in direct proportion to the brokenness of its men. And most men are broken. Most men's souls are really, really in pain. They're not truthfully perfectly happy. They are settling. They're not living into their fullest purpose, and they're letting vices control them daily. I'm not saying I don't have vices, and I'm not saying that vices don't come get me every now and then, but to be squandering your drive and your opportunity on a daily basis is unacceptable, and most men are doing it. Most people who kill themselves are men, like vast majority. And men, we deal with a lot of mental health issues. We deal with a lot of mental struggles, and we're the ones that create the wars. We're the ones that create we are the serial killers, right? We are the rapists. We are the people that will go out and murder men. And what I learned in all of my trading and coaching and working with people is that men were trying to get enough money below so that they could start to pour into themselves. And the reality is, you can do almost everything you need to do to heal for free. You can do the breath work, the yoga, the interactions with mentors online, the podcasts that are available, the instructions that are available. Like, you can heal from the inside out for free. And when you start healing and healing the pit and the anger that's within almost every single man that I'm aware of, you heal that, you transform. And when you transform yourself, you transform the world.
I like the focus on the personal and the men's side, and I don't think it's spoken about enough. So I appreciate you, making that
Yeah,
more
man.
public. We were driving from San Diego. I think we were driving from Coronado Beach or hotel, and we're going from one hotel to the other. And you were like, "Yeah, I was in Laguna and I ran down here." And I looked at you like you were the biggest nut job that I had met in weeks. And I was like, "Why would you do that?" And you were like, "I don't know, man. Like sometimes I just do stuff like this because I'm just like I hate it. I don't like it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna prove it to myself that I can." And so, you obviously have this very incredible physical discipline to you, right? You do jujitsu, you've done 3 Ironmans, you do random stuff like this run from Laguna to San Diego. And that's just the stuff that I know about you because you've told me. How does that physical discipline translate to trading discipline, or has the trading discipline unlocked the physical discipline?
Nope, other way around. Man, yeah, the physical discipline is the key. Money cannot buy a finish line. So it doesn't matter how much money you got. You could, I mean, literally, right? It doesn't matter how much money you got. If you need to run 25 miles or 26 miles or 100 miles, money's not going to help you. And that's exciting to me. I love that shit because I got plenty of money, man. I don't have a lot of miles, right? Like on that day, if I'm like, oh man, I made more money today than I made miles. I need to go get some miles in because I don't like doing it. I don't like to run at all. I'm an ugly runner also. If you see me running down the road, you're like, what is this floppy white asparagus doing? Like, I'm an ugly
Is,
runner.
is it like Phoebe from Friends?
Yeah, yes, precisely, precisely. That's how I run, man.
Yeah.
It's not pretty, but yeah, I do it because I want the edge. I want the lesson. I want the thing to learn. I want to hear. And this was a big shift that I hope some of the listeners really enjoy. I'm a big words guy. So the words that I use are extremely uh, important, and they're very selected because I do not use the word work for what I enjoy doing. I generally use the word play or create or be or optimize or invigorate, right? Work for me is defined as being outside, putting in physical effort so that I can hear downloads from God. That's work for me. And I will do that until I start getting downloads, until I start clearing the ego, and until I start clearing the mind of all the things that everyone, man and woman, stress about every day: kids, bills, health, this business, this opportunity, that investment, this house, mom, dad, brother, sister, cousin, right? All the things until all that stuff starts leaving you and you can just be, and ego starts dying and fading away, and you can just really listen to the voice of whatever creator you believe in. That's work for me, right? That's the hard stuff because that's the things that I'm not good at. I'm naturally the most energetic, outgoing, lovable person in the room. That's just how I was created to be. That's just who I am. The hard stuff for me, man, is being by myself. And I know it's hard. And I know that if I want to grow, if I want something I've never had, I have to start doing things I've never done. And there's a lot of things I've never had. So therefore there's a lot of things I need to go do. And those things are going to require work. And yeah, the Ironman, those are hard, but those are actually some of the easier things on the list of random things that I've done. One of the most challenging ones, ironically, was a jump rope challenge. I said I would donate one jump rope for every dollar raised for Arrow Recovery, which is the nonprofit I'm on the board of, and we work with anti-human trafficking, and our mission is to save lives and stop evil. And we work with veterans, and so I raised $14,200 on this random whatever Tuesday, and I was like, all right, 14,200 jump ropes, cool, here I go. Blah. Never really done jump ropes before. But I was like, it should be fine. Like it's a jump rope. And it was. It wasn't hard until the last 2 hours. In the last 2 hours, I had about 2,000 jump ropes to go. So this took about 14 hours because every thousand is about an hour. So 14 hours of jump rope straight. My brain, I don't, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. So I'm not going to use the words correctly, but I felt like it dislodged. Dude, I had the worst migraine for the last 2 hours. I could barely see. I could barely keep my eyes open. It was so terrible because of all the jumping, right? So it felt like I got a concussion. And I don't know if I did. Maybe I did. No clue. But dude, miserable. Miserable for 2 hours. I still finished, and I was on a live stream on flipping Instagram for the last like 25 minutes. And then I puked and I had to take a bunch of Excedrin migraine, and it was the worst sleep of my life. And that was actually one of the harder things I've done because of the physical pain that I was in.
Mm.
So I do all kinds of random things, and now I calculate it a little bit better. So if I'm going to do something like that, I start training for it ahead of time so that I'm prepared.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the physical discipline, man, is the most remarkable thing that people can do for themselves.
Yeah. And I like how that you say that that's the hard thing, and that's why it's necessary for you to do it, because that's the only place where growth comes from, is being uncomfortable, is going through things that are difficult for you. Um, you went from a kid who didn't want to worry about money to a man who now uses money to save children from human trafficking. And, I learned this about you maybe 8 hours into our 20-hour hangout. And, you know, above everything that you'd achieved, for me, that was the most remarkable thing. And I have two questions on this. The first one is, what do you believe about money now that you didn't believe when you first started trying to go out there and make money, now that you have it? And then my second question is, I do want to dive a little bit deeper into the nonprofit that you have, because I think that the way that you've structured it, who it's for, who it serves, how it's been built, is incredible, and I really want to make sure that the listeners hear about this in the short time that we have left.
Yeah, man, thank you. So, a belief that I have about money that I didn't have before is that um, I generally prefer the word currency, actually, because money is it's a word that creates a lot of fear and emotion into people, and then when you start using the word currency, there's almost no emotion at all tied to
Mm,
it,
yeah.
and then it becomes more spiritual. So that's a belief for me that I didn't have before. I thought money was the coolest thing ever, and now I realize the currency is the coolest thing ever, because money can change, it can be different, it can look different, it can move differently, and I believe the spirituality of money, and that money has a frequency. And these are things I didn't realize before. And then if you can tap into and understand that frequency and understand that language, money will just be attracted to you as an external being. And so I didn't realize that money had its own energy and its own frequency and its own vibration. I didn't know that currency was a thing that was separate from the world. I thought it was a physical, tangible item, and I was wildly underestimating how amazing money and currency is. So that's one of the beliefs that I currently hold that is and has changed so much about the way I look at investing and currency and opportunities. And from the nonprofit standpoint, that's a really, really big portion of it, because over $100 billion a year, $100 billion a year goes into exploiting children for sex,
Wow.
right? Grown men, these horrible human beings, will pay money to have sex with children as young as one, girls and boys. And I know your listeners are like, I don't want to hear this, dude, but like that's the reality, and it's awful. But it's one of the fastest growing. Uh, I don't know if industry is the right word, but it's horrible. It's one of the worst plagues I've ever seen and I've ever witnessed, and it is happening all around the world in every major city all the time. And so what we do with Aerial Recovery is we repurpose veterans, generally special forces. And these men and women are retired, and we take their skills that they've learned in whatever branch of whatever military. It doesn't have to be just the US military, by the way, right? It can be any branch of the military. We take their special tools, their years and years and years of training and intelligence and potentially espionage and awareness and tactical recon and all, and communications and all the things that they're gifted at, and we repurpose them into working with boots on the ground, police forces and military forces to prevent, to stop, to arrest pedophiles. And we are very, very good at it, because the uh, operating officer of Aerial Recovery is Captain Jeremy Locke, 20-year Green Beret, aka Captain America. The dude is a unit, and he is extremely gifted in finding the worst people in the world and making sure that they get arrested or find another place to reside.
Mm,
And we communicate very effectively with our team, and we raise a lot of capital, because we're the largest anti-human trafficking organization in the world right now. Uh,
incredible.
yeah, we have memorandums of understandings with over 16 countries, and most of them are in South America. And we work with a lot of the South America government: Chile, Honduras, Argentina, um, Nicaragua, Haiti, Cuba. Like Cuba's on the list. Like that would be a huge win. Anyway, we see it, and we have the ability to be boots on the ground faster than almost any other NGO on planet Earth, because we have the connections to the military, we have connections to the planes, and we're a remarkable organization. We actually are doing incredible, incredible work. We're doing God's work,
And
and
the name of it is
mm,
Aerial Recovery.
air
And
recovery.
how do
Mhm.
people find out about it?
Yep, airrecovery.org. We are, yeah, we're everywhere online. Very, very big on Instagram. We're in the news a bunch. We're on the BBC. Like we have a team in Jamaica right now with the horrible hurricane that just
Mm,
ravaged Jamaica. We have a team of 20 people helping Jamaica right now, because where villains attack is also where destruction and devastation take place.
Yeah,
And
when
so
everybody have
that's
this advantage. Yeah.
exactly when everyone's disadvantaged. Yep.
How many? How do you have the data on like how many children you've saved?
To right now, to this exact moment in time, I think we're over 8,500 children
Wow.
that have been documented and accounted for that we have physically saved from sex trafficking. Yep.
I think, obviously on the philanthropic side of things or as a mission or a cause, I don't think there's anything bigger than helping children in that kind of setting. So I think just serving that and spending your time there is incredible. But then also creating a life for veterans post retirement, right? And it's a big problem in the States. And now you're actually getting some of the most special skilled individuals in the world to come and deal with this problem. So it's not even like you're dealing with this big issue. It's like the people that you're getting are the most equipped and well-trained people to deal with this issue who also have a
Mhm.
pain point. And, as you were describing each part of the system of the nonprofit, I was just like, wow, this is so remarkable, and it's a huge testament to who you are and where you're happy to spend your time. So, I'm incredibly proud that you do it. Obviously you're a friend of
Thank you,
mine, so it
man.
makes me even more proud. Um,
Thank you.
do you think that the nonprofit side of it has made you feel better and it's more significant than all your trading profits?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, the trading profits now kind of just help fuel it with donations, with going to galas, with helping the veterans. Also, we're pouring into them, teaching them how to trade. I have set free financially over 20 veterans where they can
Huh.
now travel the world and be a part of this organization full time because they can create enough money to do that, and it's flipping awesome. So that's the other fun part, man. That when I go to money shows or investing conferences, there's no one else doing what I'm doing, right? They're making money for them. Ain't
Yeah.
no one saving kids with their trading profits. And that's why I'm like, I'm playing a different game than everyone else, guys. And I want you all to play that game with me. Where it's like, let's now use the stock market as a tool to make as much money as possible so we can actually prevent and stop something from evil that's happening on this earth every single day, and creating an incredible life for your family, right? If you want the cars, the planes, the trains, the automobiles, the whatever, sure, 100% do that. Yes, have great dinners, have amazing houses, do both,
Yeah.
and give and provide
It's
and
possible
help.
to have it, to do it
Come
all.
on,
Yeah.
come on, baby. That's right.
Yes, sir. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for being on the fifth quarter, man. I could talk to you for hours,
Same,
but I want to be
same.
respectful of your time. You've shown us that, wealth isn't just about making money in the markets. It's about mastering yourself first, then using, what it is that you've built to enrich others. So, from that 7-year-old selling blackberries to the man who's been saving children's lives through aerial recovery. I hope all the viewers can see that you prove that you can build a massive amount of wealth. You can build a massive amount of impact at the same time. And for me, that's the real legacy, and it's exactly what the show's about. I really appreciate the time and insights you've given us today. And as I said, incredibly proud to call you my friend, and I'm hopefully going to hang out with you tomorrow in Vegas, if we can. And yeah,
Yes,
means a lot that you came on, man. Thank you so much.
my pleasure, Bilal. Thanks for being an incredible human.
So thank you for tuning in. This has been the fifth quarter. Until next week.